Congratulations. Want to really congratulate you, the members of the Christ United Methodist Church of Santa Maria, upon your 80th anniversary. 50 years ago, I was appointed as the pastor to serve Christ United Methodist Church. That's many, many years ago. When I first started, most of the work was done in Japanese, and the pastor was Reverend Yasuo Oshita, and the congregation was all Japanese speaking. During the 28 years, the first 28 years since the church started, all the work was done in Japanese. When I was appointed to Christ United Methodist Church in 1959, the Japanese speaking was changing, and it was changing over to English. In 1954, your first English-speaking pastor was Reverend Paul Hagia. This was the beginning of the regular English-speaking worship service on Sunday mornings. But Reverend Oshita continued for some 3 more years helping the Japanese Issei. In 1955, the church, which was called Japanese Union Church, was incorporated into the Pacific Japanese Provisional Conference of the Methodist Church. And at that time, the name of the church was changed to Christ Methodist Church of Santa Maria. Then, in 1959, after 5 years, Reverend Paul Hagia, a popular preacher, was called to serve the Japanese Methodist Church in Denver, Colorado. This was a great disappointment for the church members, and also a real disappointment to Reverend Oshita. The church was without a pastor, and our bishop at that time was Bishop Donald Harvey Tippett. He and his cabinet worked hard and tried to find somebody to fill Reverend Paul Hagia's place. And they decided to appoint Alpha Takagi to serve the Christ Church in Santa Maria. There were still some Japanese-speaking members left, and so the new pastor had to serve not only the English-speaking, but also the Japanese-speaking congregation. This was almost an impossible job for an average Nisei pastor. But Alpha Takagi is especially grateful to the Issei members of at that time, especially to Mr. and Mrs. Kamitsuka, and also to Joe Harada, and to George Utsunomiya, and others for their support. When Christ United Methodist Church in 1964, along with 30 other Japanese Methodist Church, were integrated, and they were integrated into one of the 5 existing annual conferences of the Western jurisdiction. That was the time of integration, 1964. Christ United Methodist Church became member of the Southern California Arizona annual conference with Bishop Gerald Kennedy as the presiding bishop. Another noticeable change through those years, Christ United Methodist Church had 4 Nisei English-speaking pastors. 4 Niseis. The church also had, during those years, 4 bilingual Japanese-born English-speaking pastors. They had 2 Korean-born bilingual English-speaking pastors. And through those years, the church had 5 Japanese, 5 English-speaking pastors, 5 Anglo pastors. The church is very fortunate to have 1 trilingual Korean-born Japanese-speaking pastor. And the church is very fortunate in having this pastor, Reverend Mark Moon, to serve the existing, what we would call a new Japanese-born community. Another interesting note is that through these years, the Christ United Methodist Church had 5 women pastors, and that is very, very interesting. So again, congratulations. May God bless Christ United Methodist Church and your new enthusiastic pastor, the Reverend Anna Camphouse, as you work together to minister to the needs of an ever-changing community.
Amen.
Amen.